Um, Coach Murray is a head basketball coach at South Carolina State University, where you've been there. Is it 6 full years as a head coach? Okay, 6 full years. Before that was an assistant, but really 19 years overall in coaching basketball, and has been very successful in his coaching throughout his years. At one point, he was Coach of the Year, and also named or nominated as a finalist for the Ben Joe National Coach of the Year Award, which is given to the top minority coach in the country. So that's a huge success. And rumor has it, Coach Murray has Pikeville connections. So we're so excited to see a Pikeville person leading and making progress around the country. Thanks so much, Coach, for your time today.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the invitation. I'm not going to lie. I think you emailed me maybe in December, and I had circled this date. And, you know, I was hoping and praying that I was going to be available to do this out of respect that I have for my hometown, and also out of what UPike represents in the region and on a global stage. And, you know, anytime that I could talk to my hometown people, I'm always try to make myself available. So thank you for the invitation, and I look forward to sharing with you guys.
Well, the time will be yours now. We're going to turn it over to you and allow you to share with us.
Well, you know, when Mr. Music gave me the invitation about sharing with you guys, I just wanted to really talk about my journey coming from Pikeville. You know, I am born and raised in Pikeville, Kentucky. Born and raised. I spent most of my young childhood in Pikeville. I grew up on the bypass road. That's where I lived most of my life. Gets me emotional even thinking about it, you know, because now if I start crying during this presentation, it's not because I'm sad. It's just because when I reflect back from where I come from and the people that have in my life, you know, sometimes I get emotional. Um, so, you know, excuse choked up just thinking about it. But again, I grew up on the bypass, went to K through 12 in the Pikeville Independent School District, went to on Chloe, you know, to the high school. I was there during an outstanding time. I see Governor Patton on the line. You know, as a kid, Mr. Patton, as a young man, I believe I worked on your property, either doing something. I just remember always driving by your house, and I would say the governor lives right there. The governor lives on the same strip of road that I came from. If he can go to the Kentucky on this same strip of highway, there's nothing that I can't do. And my mother used to tell me that, you know, the governor lives right there. It was less than a mile from what I call the Honaker complex, right at the end of the road on the bypass. I grew up in a house at times, we had 15 people in one house with one bathroom. One house, one bathroom, and no central air. You had to get in certain parts of the house to get the air conditioned. I remember my mom in her room, you know, and I'm talking about the window type. My aunt Becky, Becky Honaker, you know, my people, I come from people that loved other people dearly. And most of my family, my mother, you know, they were in childcare. They were in childcare. I believe my mom was a baby whisperer. She worked at Model City Daycare for 25 plus years. And I always told her she raised a generation of children in Pike. You know, and my Aunt Becky was a caretaker for the Corbin family. And she also worked at Model City Daycare. And so I just have I come from an abundance of love, raised in a community that supported me. You know, I needed help as a young man. You know, I remember the optometrist there in Pikeville, Mark Myers. My mother, I wear glasses, I wear contacts, but I used to wear glasses and I used to break my glasses because I was so active as a young person. And my mother couldn't afford to replace my glasses all the time. And I'll never forget that the Lions Club in Pikeville used to pay for my optometry work. And Mark Myers was my optometrist. And I used to go in and see Mr. Myers, and my eye appointments were always with him. So Pikeville really, really nurtured me and gave me a vision of what I wanted my adult life to be. That's really making sure that I nurture the next generation that comes after me. I've been blessed to be in coaching. How I got there is it really started in Pikeville. The most impactful people in my life were my coaches on the men's side. You know, I come from a single parent home, but the most impactful men in my life were coaches. And Pikeville is a very unique place. You know, at 47 years old, I can still tell you one of my first coaches was McAnally. You know, last name McAnally. I can't remember his first name, but I was in grade school. He was one of my first coaches. Paul Blackburn, Lyle Blackburn was one of my first coaches. You know, Keno Trivet is someone that is near and dear to my heart that Coach Trivet and I, we still talk at least 6, 7, 8 times a year. Spoke with Coach Howard just the other day on social media. These men, Coach Allaire, Coach Wallen, and I can go on, but it was because of what they did for me was the exact reason that I got into coaching. I'll never forget when I graduated from Eastern Kentucky University, one of my first phone calls was Coach Keno Trivet. And Coach Trivet said, Murray, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do? I said, Coach, I want to coach. And my first coaching job out of college, I was a volunteer coach at high school in Lexington, Kentucky. And I got hooked up with that through Coach. He told me to go see a friend of his by the name of Nolan Barger, which was a legendary high school coach in Kentucky. Coach Barger won over 800 games at Tate's Creek. And I remembered Coach Trivet put that together for me. And since then, it's been actually 24 years on a coaching journey. I've coached every level of basketball. You know, I see Coach Compton on here. And, you know, the only level I hadn't coached, Coach, is NAIA ball. And I really respect what you guys, Kelly, you know, I'm praying for him right now. I know he's going through a very difficult time, your athletic director and your former coach, you know, 2 weeks ago about when his father passed. And I think I'm understanding that his mother just passed away. So, you know, I want to make sure that I mention the Wells family and that I'll be praying for them during this. I can't imagine how difficult that is to go through that so close together. But through my coaching journey, I've coached every level from high school ball to freshman ball to one of my first coaching jobs as a head coach was at the YMCA on Saturday mornings in Lexington, where the kids showed Saturdays and all you could tell them was good job. The ball all over the gym and you had to say, good job, Johnny, you play. Are you having fun? I wish I can coach like that now. But sometimes the game gets spoiled by all the pressures that we have as a coach. But that was one of my first coaching jobs. I think back in 2000, I relocated to the Carolinas in an attempt really to reconnect with my father's side of the family. My entire side of my father's family is from South Carolina. And I reconnected with him. I was actually 22 years old. And he and I reconnected and I decided to move to the Carolinas. I actually was moving to the Carolinas. I was going to run a daycare center. I told you I came from a family of childcare. I was going to actually run a daycare center. And I'll never forget showing up in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I showed up for the interview. Now, I had knocked the interview out of the box on the phone. Okay. I show up at the Sunshine House. That was the name of the franchise. And the lady looks at me like, "You're the person I talked to on the phone." I can laugh about it now, but when I met her, I don't think she realized I was a 6'4" black man that was gonna run her daycare. Jokes aside, because the way she looked at me, she was like, "I didn't match that voice on the phone. I didn't get the job. I didn't get the job." And I took a job as an activities director at a hospital for sex offender teenage boys. Okay. This is, I'm sharing how I got into coaching on the college level. I took a job at a hospital for sex offender teenage boys. The lady that interviewed me asked, had I ever coached basketball? And I said, yes. I coached at Tates Creek High School. I was an assistant coach at Tates Creek. And yes, I coached basketball. She says, I'm the athletic director of a local community college. And I'm getting ready to fire. Would you have any interest? And I kid you not, that's how I got into college coaching. That I take this interview for an activities director at a hospital for sex offender teenage boys. And the lady that's interviewing me is the AD at a local community college called Clinton Junior College. And the rest is history. I worked at Clinton. I remember they paid me as a full-time coach. I think they started off paying me $3,000. It was a stipend. I was there for 6 months. And what I would do, I coached in the morning, okay? And then I went to the hospital and I worked from 11 to 7. And then I came back to night just to check on the guys and see how they were doing. Well, in 6 months' time, the president of the community college said that she saw a change in how our young men conducted themselves, and they hired me full-time, okay? And then I go from full-time being the head basketball coach. By June of the first year, I became the athletic director at the community college. And I did that for, I want to say 4 years. And in that time, we went from a relative unknown community college until we were ranked for community colleges on the Division I level for JUCOs. And we were nationally ranked. The young men that were coming through my program, they were getting scholarships to schools, and it just got the attention of other Division I 4-year schools in the region. And I went from Clinton Junior College to Charleston Southern University as the top assistant with the coach that is still there now by the name of Barkley Radeball. And I worked at Charleston Southern, lived in Summerville, South Carolina for 3 years. And from Summerville, South Carolina, I went to Winston-Salem State University up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I was there for 3 years. And then I've been at South Carolina State. I was here for 1.5 years as an assistant coach. And then I was promoted to head coach after 1.5 years. And I've been here. And it has been really a life-changing ordeal. And it's given me a platform that has been tremendous for my life and for my family. Coaching has been very rewarding to me. We're graduating 98% of our young men that come through our program. I've been fortunate to have really good assistant coaches. And, just my time here has been impactful. I've learned a lot. And, I do live by the creed that the next generation is supposed to benefit from us being here, and I look at this bigger than basketball. Again, ball is the attraction. That's how these young men and I are meeting, but I try to give them tools that they'll be able to apply for the rest of their life. And I'm really more interested in them becoming responsible men, responsible husbands, brothers, citizens. To me, that is the most important thing, because one day the ball is going to go flat. Okay. And we as coaches and educators, our job is to leave the next generation in a better situation than where we picked up at. And that's our program. And, I think every coach that doesn't win their last game wish they won their last game. Okay, we all want to win more basketball games, but we cannot take for granted the opportunity to influence young men and women for the right reasons. So that's something that I really try to emphasize in our program. And again, that foundation for me right there in Pikeville. And I'll never forget the people that really nurtured me along. You know, long friends that I grew up with, the Lockhart family, were people impactful in my life, the Blair family, the Trivet family. I mean, I can go on and on about the people that were very influential in my life, and they still play a role in my life. And it all came from Pikeville. Mr. Music, if there's any questions, I don't want to sit here and talk about myself. I'm not comfortable in doing that I'll tell you my story, but I do a lot better if you ask me questions. I can kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you already kind of laying the foundations of your own personal story. But I wonder for you, I mean, obviously, here you have this surprising lead into full-time coaching, right? Typically, an interview at a hospital doesn't lead to full-time coaching basketball. But what has kept you in there? Because I know there are lots of pressures, lots of difficult moments. What has kept you in the game?
Well, I really believe that I try to wake up every day and I want to do what I'm passionate about. And it's funny that you asked that. Just yesterday, I was doing a session with a corporate company, and they were asking me what motivated me every day. And I said, well, of course, my family is my biggest motivation. I said, I'm fearful of failing. Okay. I have a true fear of failure. All right. And what I've learned during this time of COVID, that fear sometimes is measured just like success. Individual. It's about what you value. Like right now, I'm not embarrassed to tell you because you can Google it. Right now, this season, my team, we have not won a game. We have a perfect record right now, 0-15. Okay. But COVID has so interrupted our season that that's not what I measure my success by. And you would say, well, coach, that's easy to say because you hadn't been successful in winning. No, I understand that in this industry, at the end of the day, you want to win the basketball game, but I don't define my success as winning a basketball game. Just like I don't define my failure as losing a basketball game. To me, failure is not living by your passions. Okay, failure is not trying to impact the next generation. To me, that's failure. If you wake up every day and it's all about yourself, I believe you're failing at that point. That would be a failure to me. If I had 24 hours in a day and it was just all about me, it's all about my comfort level, it's all about what I'm able to achieve. To me, that would be failure. That to live selfishly, that would be failure. Success defined for me is trying to impact the next generation, trying to share your story so someone else may be motivated to achieve their dreams. Pushing the next generation through basketball for me to achieve their dreams. That these guys think it's about them putting the ball in the hoop when it's really about them getting their education and using the ball instead of letting the ball use them. To me, that is success defined by me. Now, everyone else in the industry may measure you by did you win or your end result. And I understand that. But I believe that I've been able to stay around and really won a great amount of games because we're winning in all other aspects of education. My young men are not getting in trouble off the floor. They're like this past semester, We had a 3.3 team GPA, learning virtually, and really it was just no one but the athletes here on campus, but we weren't taking class in person. But they were still doing that. You know, we've been recognized for what we do in our community here on a national level. You know, every year I've been able to have a foundation give to the community where we support the community by giving away school supplies and free backpacks. And, you know, I call it, the name of my foundation is called Garvin's Goal. And we bring the community in and we give kids before they go back to school. And this summer that was really challenged because we couldn't do it in person. So we did it through a drive-by. Drove through and you got the school supplies and the dental hygiene products. And we had to be creative in how we did our community service this summer. But I sometimes we as coaches, we can get in a mode that we feel like if we're not winning, we're not winning. And that's, to me, furthest from the truth. You know, you can be in your community and you can still be winning. You can also make sure that your guys are conducting themselves like gentlemen, and the game of life is bigger than the game, and you can still be winning. So I've been fortunate to have people that have tolerated me here, you know, and we'll see how long it lasts, but for as long as I'm here, I'm gonna try to with the opportunity that I have.
I love that. I love the passion and the dedication. Are there other questions that people might have for Coach today?
Yeah, Coach Garvin, you know, you spoke about what success is to you and how you define your success, and you know that if you're not winning, sometimes coaches feel like they're not winning. What, you know, assuming you're just like me in the role that I'm at right now, that's not an easy thing to always remember. No. And certainly not when you're first starting out. It's very easy to become consumed with some of that. What was it along your career that I guess shifted your mindset to that and really allowed you to consistently remember that message, and what led you to that?
That's a great question, Coach. And I remember being right where you're at, man. My assistant coach, he's been with me for the entire time. And he used to tell me that when I first took over, I was crazy, that people didn't like to work with me. I was very abrasive because I was pushing all the time. And I felt like that in order to win on the court, certain things need to be met. You know, this had to be done. This needed to be done. Why isn't this? Why don't it look like this? Why aren't people doing this? This is what we need. And I was very pushy. And I would have probably died. I would have probably died because I was obsessed. Now I'm still obsessed, but I had to develop a spiritual side of my life. And, you know, I had to make sure that God was a part of my life, to be open and honest with you. And I had to get myself in balance with my Lord and Savior. Now, I'm talking to you, Pike, and I know it's a religious school, so I'm okay with this. And if I'm not okay with it, you can stop the whole session, because I can't help but talk about how good God has been to me, man. You know, to bring me from where I come from to where I'm at now, I had to get myself in balance, Coach. I had to get some balance in my life. I had mentors that pointed me in the right direction. And I'll never forget this. I had a coach to tell me this one time, and it made all the sense in the world. But when I was a young assistant and I was a young head coach, you know, I didn't pay attention to it very much. But as I got a little bit more seasoned and the hair started to turn gray, it all made sense to me. And he said, make sure that you stay loyal to the people at your kitchen table. Make sure you stay loyal to the people at your kitchen table. Jobs will come and go. Players will come and go. You'll win games and you will lose games. But your family They have to always know that they are the most important part of your life. And if you do that, you'll have a foundation that is rock solid. There's so many coaches. At one point in the coaching industry, people, the divorce rate was at a 77%. 77% of division were ending in divorce because we were spending way too much time at the office, way too much time chasing kids, chasing the next big recruit, and we were hopping all over the country looking for the next great opportunity, but we were forgetting about the people at our kitchen table. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Coach, I didn't get this balance until I developed my spiritual side and my relationship with God. And he's kind of reminded me that you better be more than a basketball coach. You better make sure that you're more than a basketball coach, because this thing, you can be a football coach real quick. Real quick. You can be a former basketball coach, and you better develop the total man. And opportunities like this, sharing with other people, is something that I really love to do. Again, just yesterday, I talked to a corporate company that's located in Kansas and Colorado, and we're in the Midwest. And I just shared with them some of my core principles, and that was one of them. You have to be in balance. You know, you can't be consumed by it, because it can be gone. And then you're left with your family. My biggest fear is my daughters weren't there. You know, like I said, I grew up in a single parent situation. I'm not going to repeat what I come from, because I know how hard that was for me, you know. And so I would just say, Coach, just to make sure you have balance, man, because you can get consumed by it because you love it. I mean, you absolutely I love coaching. It's without a doubt what God put me on the earth to do. But he also made sure that I'm a husband, that I'm a father, that I'm a responsible community member. And I try to make sure that I'm involved in all aspects of life, and not just the X and O's and the Jimmys and Joes of basketball. I hope that helps, Coach. This is as plain as I can say it, man, but it's been a process. It has been a process, because I've been there. And when the people close to me told me that I was abrasive, that really got my attention. You know, like, Coach, you're too pushy, man. Nobody wants to help you because you're telling them what they're not doing. You know, so I hope that helps, Coach.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Coach, when was the last time you were back in Pikeville?
Oh, man, it's been too long, Mr. Patton.
You still have
too
family here?
The last time I was there was when the high school recognized me as, you know, and I spoke at graduation. You know, I spoke at Pikeville High School's graduation. I think that was 2 years ago. Since my mother passed, you know, I'm gonna be transparent with you guys. It hadn't been the same coming home. Woo, you give me crap, but yeah, it hadn't been the same. But I plan to be there Memorial Day weekend. You know, I think they're gonna do dedication of my family cemetery. And I'm gonna make sure that I'm there for that. Any other questions?
I appreciate you just sharing from your heart today. I have a question, because you deal with so many young, you know, future leaders and young men, and there are so many different, you know, myths or cultural ideas about young men right now. What would you like people to know about young men right now?
They're resilient. A lot of times, this generation of young, they've been I guess, kind of labeled as being soft because so many things are catered to them. But right now, I have a tremendous respect for what young people are dealing with right now. Big friends, virtual learning. I have young men that are still here at the university. It's not the typical university atmosphere right now. There's limited number at our games. You know, their friends aren't around. They can't come to their games. I think young people are more resilient than what we give them credit for. And I believe that COVID has got the attention of everyone. And one thing that COVID has shown me is it don't matter how much money you have. It don't matter what color you are, what part of town you're from. It's an equal opportunity virus. And it has really, really shown me that young people right now, we need to give them credit for being resilient. We need to wrap our arms around them and really talk to them and see how they're doing. Check on them, you know, check on them. Because could you imagine if you were in your senior year of high school and you're going virtually? Could you imagine college and you're going virtually and you don't get to have the experiences that we all experienced in college, that those opportunities aren't there? You know, Mr. Music, I see that you have the minister's collar, but you know, you might not have always been in the ministry. Those kids don't get to have those times right now. You know, it might be a good thing, but they don't even get to have those experiences. And yet they're still here, getting up every day, trying to do the best that they absolutely can. And they're being resilient, and they're really not making any excuses about it. They're finding a way. And so, you know, I would just want people to realize that young people are a little bit more resilient than we give them credit for.
Really helpful. Any other questions for Coach before we head out?
I just want to say that you spoke at Pikeville High School's basketball banquet. I think it's been maybe 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you because I thought your speech was very touching and motivating for the team.
Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you, Ms. Coleman. I appreciate that. Again, anytime that I have time to come home, to give back, to be there in person, you know, I try to answer the call, man. Because I'm telling you, without Pikeville, there wouldn't be no me. And I don't say that because I'm on the call right now with you guys. I'm telling you that because I know it, that Pikeville is a special place and will always be home. I don't care how long I haven't been home, that will always be home. It prepared me for so much. And you would say, how? It's a place, Murray. You know, the African population was mainly my family when I grew up there. Since the college started, I'll never forget coming home, and Pikeville College had a football team, okay? And I've never seen more African-American people in Pikeville than when they started football at Pikeville College. And it must have been on my face. And Coach Randy McCoy, I can't remember what he was doing at Pikeville College at the time, or he was standing beside me and he said, Murray, this place has changed a lot, you know? And I said, wow, you know, because I had unique experiences in Pikeville. And when I went to Eastern Kentucky University, the one thing that it allowed me, and you guys can testify to this because you know it yourself, even on university campuses, sometimes it can be very segregated in the people that you interact with. And so growing up in Pikeville, when I went even just 2 hours down the road to Eastern Kentucky, it was really diverse. But I met people that came from inner cities that never interacted with anyone that didn't look like them. Okay? That was an advantage of growing up in Pikeville. I interacted with people that didn't look like me every day. But what it did, it prepared me for the real world. You know, I feel like I'm able to talk and interact with anyone, no matter what background you come from, because of growing up in Pikeville. Now, that was unique, maybe because I was an African-American in Pikeville, me that opportunity, but it's something that I've always noticed. And many of my friends, which were African-American that came from inner cities and different places, they didn't have interaction with other people. So it's given me an interesting perspective. You know, I don't have too many friends that ever celebrated Hillbilly Days. And when I tell them that I celebrated Hillbilly Days, I got a picture, guys, that as a kid, I'm in a patchwork outfit. I got patches on my pants. I got a corn straw in my mouth and a hillbilly hat on. And I say, hey, not too many people ever celebrated Hillbilly Days, okay? But that's an advantage to me. And that's by being blessed of growing up in that part of the country. And I'll never forget it. And I'll always be willing to give back to my hometown. And anytime you guys need me, I'm a phone call away. And I would love to do more in Pikeville. I feel like, you know, Mr. Music, you know, it's been a burning desire for me to come back and speak at Pikeville, because I want people to know that dreams are possible. It's possible. I don't care what you come from. It's possible. If you're willing to work for it, if you're willing to connect with the right people, it's possible. From Pikeville, Kentucky. And I have coached on national TV. On national TV. You know, I've been able to speak to corporate companies all around the country. And I'm from the bypass road. I think they call it Riddell Road now. but Governor Patton, you remember when it's called the bypass road, right? I'm from the bypass road, man. The housing complex on the bypass road, that's where I grew up. That's where I grew up. And it's possible that you can achieve your wildest dreams, man. And I just want people to know, I want my hometown to know that don't let those mountains enclose you. If you want to go out, it's possible. And then you can always come home. You can always come home. That's one thing I love about home, man. People love you. People love you and they love to see you do well. And if you guys can help me make that happen. Now, when I say that, you're going to call me and I'm going to say, well, I'm not available because I got this going on. But please just let me say no. You know, I'm actually, you know, I'm a minister in training right now as well. So even if it's a church opportunity, I'd love to have the opportunity to come home and just share my story and try to inspire the next generation, because I believe they need to know that it's possible.
Well, what a model of winning that you provided for us today. Some real key takeaways for me. I just appreciate your leading from your heart, leading from your passion, but also helping us see that winning is a lot more than certain columns, right? So really appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Good luck on Thursday. Hope you guys get to play on Thursday, and hope that goes really well. And thank you for all that you're doing for your community, your young men, and blessings on the ministerial training there. So thank you again for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. And again, it's an honor and pleasure. Governor Patton, it's great to see you. Coach Compton, you know, good luck moving forward. I'm a phone call, I'm a tweet away. I keep track of what you guys are doing at home. I'm always impressed with the success and the growth of the university. And I truly believe, I'm a little unbiased because I am a basketball coach. I truly believe it has a lot to do with that men's basketball program. So continue to kick down the door, man. And God bless you all. And together we win.
That's right.